Come to Aid or Trade, a series in which development aid and sustainable business come together. The main principle is aid is no longer a matter of transferring money or shipping goods. It is increasingly becoming a question of setting up sustainable businesses to tackle problems. Today, we visit sustainable business initiatives in Liberia, Malawi, Ghana, and Kenya. People often associate the mass production of t-shirts and trousers with Asia, but two entrepreneurs in Monrovia have set up a new center for the clothing industry. In the capital of Liberia, women who are scared by the war are being trained to make t-shirts and to run a successful factory.
Especially in Liberia, when you are not doing anything, you are not respected.
When the civil war ended in 2003, after 14 years of conflict, it was mainly the women who had difficulty finding jobs. When Liberian entrepreneur Ched Liberty returned from America in 2008, he and his business partner saw an opportunity for women to manufacture clothing.
The idea came about when I was reading a book by Jeff Sachs called The End of Poverty, and he was talking about the opportunity that working in the garment field had provided for women all over Southeast Asia as sort of the first rung on the ladder out of poverty.
Using funds from American social investors, Ched set up the company Liberty and Justice. He also began the NGO Made in Liberia to train new staff. The company funded most of the foundation's activities. Ched deliberately chose this business approach.
No country in the history of the world has ever lifted itself out of poverty through donor funding. It's never happened.
In Monrovia, the Liberty and Justice factory employs around 60 women who work the 40 sewing machines full-time. Before they start, the ladies are given 3 months of training, which is organized by Made in Liberia. Here, they are prepared for working from 9 till 5 in the factory.
And this is what we are making. I say we because it is a t-shirt and factory where one person doesn't do it. Another person hemming the street, another person facing the shoulders.
Just like anywhere else, the wages are a matter for discussion.
Yes, I'm earning enough money, but I put board because I'm hoping for addition.
The organic cotton for the t-shirts comes from Burkina Faso, Senegal, and Mali, and is treated in Morocco before it arrives in Liberia. In addition, the Liberty and Justice Workshop is the first in Africa to receive a fair trade certificate. The company mainly exports to the US market, where the demand for fair trade products made under good working conditions is growing.
Our real objective is to transform the apparel industry from an industry that's just known for worker exploitation and environmental degradation towards partnership and sustainability.
Plenty of ambition. Soon, the factory is going to move to a bigger location in Monrovia, where around 1,000 women will be employed in a year and a half's time. In Liberia, a woman with a job is respected.
I'm a working woman now. I'm proud.
Now we leave Liberia in West Africa to Malawi in East Africa, where wild animals and villagers live in harmony. Here, a wildlife reserve, which has undergone a complete overhaul by the African Parks Network, provides an opportunity for both man and beast. This is Majete Wildlife Park, where tourists can spot rhinos, antelopes, and elephants.
Mphamvu za Majete ndi zimene zatipangisa kutiphunzitsa ntchito mwachatsopano komanso kutipezeranso misika. Ndi apa tikungoyamikira kuti pamene tili kuno.
A lot has changed in a couple of years. The Majete Wildlife Reserve, spreading over 700 square kilometers, has been neglected for decades, until African Parks took over management of the park and started running the reserve like a genuine business. The organization, which works together with local authorities and entrepreneurs, brought thousands of animals into the area and built a 250-kilometer road. Before that, there were hardly any tourists, but now more than 4,000 tourists come every year. a real boost to the local economy.
Ndi anthu aja akamabwera alendo aja ndikuona kuti akumasiya kenakake. Sono kenakake kamene akukasiya ku office kwathuko ndi mbali imodzi ona kuti anthu omwe akumatenga kandalama kameneko ndi kumathandizira ana skulu amene panopa ali amasiye.
The essential thing is that local residents are involved in decision-making concerning the park.
What we are trying to tap from the community is the indigenous technical knowledge that they have, because they are living with wildlife in harmony.
We've invested in wildlife, translocations. We have invested in infrastructure. We have invested in people, and I'm sure this is the way to go.
Around 130,000 people live outside the park's fences in 85 villages. The park was their source of livelihood. They used to get their wood and mushrooms and even shot wild animals for food inside the park. But this is no longer allowed. They can still make a living from the park anyway, as a ranger or as a tour guide. They can also make baskets or furniture with wood from the park. African Parks trains and supervises 50 craftsmen.
What we encourage them is to add value to their products, okay, make them look nice.
Phindu limene ndili nalo la misika imene nimagulitsa wa kumidzi ndi wa kumajeti nimapeza profit kwambiri ndi kumajeti fuka kunoko misika yake imakhala yotsikirako ya kumajeti imakhala yokwererako.
People are not allowed to just take what they need from the park. Palm fronds, for instance, are not to be cut from the palm trees, but should only be taken when it falls on the ground. The villagers now understand what sustainability means and how beautiful their back garden has become.
Mwaiji munganda nkwanzo unaya kuti timakaziona timaona nyama zina zoti sangalasa ife. Oneka ngati zimenezo ndi zinthu zoti ife anthu mulengedwe kusangana nazo.
We move from Malawi's nature to the bustling Ghanaian capital, Accra. Telecom companies seem to thrive here. The booming telecom sector gives many young entrepreneurs the opportunity to start up their own internet or software company.
I want to own my business where I know I'm solving real-world issues. I'm doing something meaningful.
Every company starts with a good idea, as the founders of Nandi Mobile have found out. Nandi Mobile, a young business set up by 3 software students, developed a system that people could contact the customer services of large companies by text message. Not a bad idea in a country where there are more mobile phones than computers.
There are other customer support applications, but we provide a cheaper medium, which is SMS, and more universal medium than internet. They can analyze the message. They can know how many customers complained about a particular service.
Nandi Mobile is one of the successful companies set up by students from MEST, the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. The Norwegian software company Meltwater wants to stimulate the Ghanaian technology sector. The school selects ambitious students and teaches them software programming, bookkeeping, and business in 2 years.
So the MEST program is broken into 3 phases. The first phase being the training phase, which is a 2-year program. The second phase being incubation, where we support the teams in getting started with their companies. And the third phase being mentorship, where we support them after they leave the incubator. What is interesting about Ghana is that there's a lot of entrepreneurial people who have the entrepreneurial instincts and entrepreneurial drive to start something themselves.
I already had the basis of programming, but I improved on it in MEST. And business wasn't something I knew much about.
Young entrepreneurs with a good idea can get a basic investment of around $30,000 to $500,000 from MEST. Because without money, you cannot start a business. The software developed at MEST has to be able to compete with software from abroad.
The quality of software can be developed here is just as high as anywhere else. And the good thing about software is it can be delivered via the internet or via mobile devices, so you can sit in Ghana and provide services to companies in the US or in the UK with no problem.
After delivering a successful pitch at the launch of a conference in San Francisco, the founders of Nandi Mobile received the Best Business Award. This encouragement prize for starting technology companies has drawn attention to the Ghanaian company. Nandi Mobile is concentrating on text message services at the moment. But since recently, there's been something new in the air.
As the use of mobile internet becomes higher, we plan to move to the WAP version.
We can use software to solve the corruption issue, the electricity going on and off every time, the water issue. We can use software to do agriculture, change the face of the nation, and even change our lives.
From high-tech in Ghana, we go to a low-tech solution in Kenya. A couple of years ago, farmers here had difficulty surviving until they were retrained and bought beehives with a loan. This is the Poor Siaya district in southwest Kenya, where hundreds of farmers are now making a living from the insect, which used to be a nuisance. The beekeepers, around 10,000 already in the whole of Kenya, work with Honey Care Africa, a commercial organization which helps people run sustainable businesses. The farmers buy the equipment from Honey Care, such as a whole Langstroth beehive. To do so, they get a loan from a third party, the Equity Bank.
Instead of relying on traditional in this area, they've been working mainly with maize. And we thought maybe if we could introduce other activities that could diversify their incomes.
If you look at most microfinance institutions, they really don't take risk to support beekeeping enterprises because it's like a high-risk venture, considering that you depend on the weather pattern.
Honey Care guarantees it will buy the honey. Part of the profit goes back to the bank as repayment. A win-win situation, says everyone involved.
We don't recommend donations and grants to the farmers because for a project to be sustainable, they have to have a sense of ownership. Because if you give free things to people, then they don't care about it.
Loan taseyo kum equity, kichintie sanduk marachir manaseyo manomia to tiemo komabasa nyewa won kenda.
You need to do more than just provide beehives. You also have to change people's behavior and teach them new things. That is the Honey Care approach. The farmers are trained how to run a business and what to watch out for. And the new beekeepers learn quickly. The honey has been harvested. The farmers have been paid, but that is not the end of it. The honey still has to be processed and sold, and eaten, of course. People who like to eat honey pay 250 shillings per jar in the supermarket. Farmers need to get used to that. They receive just 170 shillings per kilo, but the honey business has its advantages.
Bees are not fed. They would get the nectar from the plants, which is just free. Then the farmer only needs 2 hours per month to check his hive. If you translate it into 2 working days, it's quite a lot of money.
Next week, aid trade report from Zambia, Egypt, Nigeria, and Ghana, where we see how commercial enterprise tackles various problems in these African countries.